in this particular case, she was about to cheat on the man she was married to because he wasn't being the man that she married. She might not have been the woman that he married as well. I've never actually had anyone say, well, yeah, I am. There's always this scenario where neither of them are being the person that the other one married.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Powerful Man Show. I am your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host and founder, Tim, the Powerful Man Matthews. What's going on, buddy?
Yeah, I'm doing great. You threw a little curveball in there and founder. Ooh.
I know. I knew you were sitting there going, oh, no, is he going to say the powerful man or not? Is he going to say it?
I bet the listeners must be absolutely bored of me just riding on this wave of the powerful man.
Well, in all truth, you are a powerful man, as am I, and as are the men listening and have been through the program. So it's just the truth.
Doug, hang on a minute. I've just realized something. This is the 100th episode.
Whoa, look at that. Awesome.
This is the 100th episode. So I'm loving the topic that we've got for today's show. It's very befitting of a centenary.
You throwing out the big words. Awesome.
Yeah.
So what is the topic for today, Tim?
So the topic is, drumroll please, his wife was about to cheat on him.
Ooh.
Yeah.
A lot of guys listening to this can relate.
Yeah. Do you know what? We often as men, and I'm just going to generalize here, but often we think, well, we like to think that, the wife would never do anything like that. In fact, I spoke with a business owner today, and he told me that he wants to join the program because he wants to rebuild his marriage and do it in a way whereby he can also find true happiness and fulfillment, because he's just chasing money and it's not meaning anything, and it's causing a divide between him and his wife, and he's not being there for his son. And the story we can all relate to. Now, his wife had said, I'm going to go and spend a month up in Canada. Let's do a trial separation, and I'm going to go back up home because that's where she's from. And I said, look, usually women don't say that kind of thing unless they've done the research, they have their ducks in a row, and things are basically there and ready for them to move into. They've got childcare sorted, they've got a housing situation usually figured out for the short term, and all that kind of stuff. And he's like, do you know what, Tim? You're totally right. She told me today that she has had 2 job offers. She has a place to stay, and she's literally on the verge of leaving. Now, he's living on borrowed time. Mm-hmm. And it feeds completely into the topic for today because, and we've covered on previous episodes about, are you paying attention to the warning signs? Because as men, we often like to think that she'll never leave me, she'll never have the affair, she's faithful, we're married, and, it's all good. Which I can understand why men think that way, because, we're often pulled in so many different directions, required to play so many different roles. The CEO, the father, the husband, the friend, the son, maybe you do hobbies, and maybe you've got a responsibility in the sports team, in the community. There are so many different hats that the men we work with, at least, are often required to play. So I get it why, that there could be, their energies could be so split. But I also get it from the perspective of the wife as well, because, she's there at home, raising the family. When she was asked to marry this man, I'm sure that she wasn't said, hey, will you marry me? And over the next 5 to 10 years, I'm going to pour most of my time and energy into building a business so we can have money. I'm not really going to be at home a great deal. And when I am, I'm going to be on my phone. And you're going to be required to look after the kids most of the time, but I'll be there. And, I'd like to have sex as well. When I want to have sex, I want to have sex. I'd appreciate it if you'd have sex with me too when I want. Now,
always be ready.
Yeah. You can see both sides of the scenario there, right?
Oh, yeah.
As it builds into this particular situation we're going to talk about, I can really understand why, in this particular case, she was about to cheat on the man she was married to, because he wasn't being the man that she married. She might not have been the wife, the woman that he married as well. I hear that a lot when I speak to the men, that she's just not the woman that I married. Okay, but if I was to ask her, are you the man that she married? And I've never actually had anyone say, well, yeah, I am. Mm-hmm. There's always this scenario where neither of them are being the person that the other one married. Now, it's tricky because in that situation, usually it's just not a nice environment to be around. You come home on an evening, it's almost like from the woman's perspective, she's waiting as the man walks through the doors, the husband walks in. It's almost like her and the family are looking to just get a glimpse of what mood is he in. Is he going to be the happy-go-lucky version tonight? Or is he going to be the angry version? And it's no fault of the man's either, because, he's been dealing with so many stresses throughout the day, making hundreds maybe of decisions on the fly, boom, 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 boom. He feels exhausted, and usually he doesn't have any routine to switch off, like, we teach them in decompression. Usually they don't have this. So again, I understand why he feels like he's walking on eggshells. Why he feels like a volcano, let's say, ready to erupt. But I also understand from the woman that, she's there, she's been home all day. Often, they make plans about how they're going to enjoy spending the evening with the husband and how it's going to be. They play out a scenario where he'll walk through the door and, he'll be in a good mood, and we'll cook dinner together, we'll put the kids to bed, we'll sit down and, we'll catch up. But when it doesn't play out that way right from the outset, it's almost like, it's just like, I give up, I give in. And it just erodes the connection between the two. And obviously it's not helped with the fact that, everywhere around them, like we said on the last show, that the men these days are surrounded often by messages telling them to, have the six-pack abs and have the marriage and the business thriving. Basically, have it all together. Guys, come on, have it all together. And it just seems so far away. Now, what I want to ask you, Doug, is, as I'm sharing this with you, what do you think in relation to this particular situation? His wife was about to cheat on him, because I know that you know who we're talking about. What do you think has been the main drivers for the relationship to end up in this position?
Such a good question. I'm not going to talk about this guy's situation particularly, but the scenario is so commonplace. Every guy that's married can relate to this, right? In some way, shape, or form. They just may not know that they may be ignorant and not know that their wife might be looking elsewhere. I'm not saying every wife does this, right? But everybody understands the basic scenario formula we're talking about here. And what happens, Tim, is it's complacency over time. You give a little bit here, right? Screw it, it's okay. I'm just going to let that go. And you give a piece of yourself up a little bit, and she does as well. And over time, you grow apart. It starts maybe with an argument or about taking out the trash or whatever it is, when it's really not about that anyway. And the guy is stressed. He's been at work. He's making decisions, as you said. He's got a vision and a plan for what he wants to do and what he wants to do for his family. That's the thing that's most important, is the guy here is busting his tail trying to provide for his family. He's got stresses at work. If he owns the business, which most of our men do, he's dealing with payroll. He's dealing with taxes and finances. He's dealing with product or service delivery. He's dealing with staff. He's dealing with all of these issues. And so when he gets home, he's just burnt out. And his family and his wife get the crap part of him, right? The leftovers, so to speak. And then he's disengaged. And he looks around, and if they're in a traditional relationship, and maybe the wife's at home, he's looking around going like, oh, why is the house dirty? Why aren't the kids doing X, Y, Z? All of he's trying to figure out, well, I've been busting my butt. What have you been doing? And they start to have friction there, Tim, and they start to grow apart. And an inch apart becomes a mile apart. right? They start going to bed and sex when they were first married, right? It was fresh. It was fun. Now, if they have sex once a week, that's a major thing. And that sex they have once a week isn't good, right? It's not satisfying, especially for the woman, probably, right? It's kind of a one and done, get in, get out. That was fun. They feel a little bit more connected, right, with the intimacy. But that distance, again, that gap grows. And then sex becomes once every 2 weeks, once every 3, And he's going through looking at this and wondering, why isn't it better for him? Why doesn't he deserve more? Why isn't she doing more for him? Right? That's where it all starts. And that's where, when we look at this, it doesn't have to be this way, Tim. It doesn't have to be this way.
So what is a shift that, maybe a new way of looking at this, maybe a different technique? What's a shift, a perspective that a man who's in this position, maybe struggling with this, worrying about this, is able to take right now?
So that's a great thing. So if you want to save your relationship and your marriage, I'm going to guess you do, right? You fell in love with this person for a reason, and that's why you're with them. And at the core, their values are probably the same. Now, this is not always, but most of you are finding this to be true, right? And if you want to, the first thing to do is come clean, right? And go ahead and sit down with your partner and validate what they may be feeling, and also share what you're feeling, but do not blame, right? So you want to take a total new paradigm here, a one of cooperation, and saying something like, look, babe, I realize that, when we got married, we had this dream that we going, and I find myself just busting my butt trying to provide for our family. And I find myself getting stressed and anxious. And by the time I get home, I realize that I've left the best of me at work, and you get the worst of me. Right? At the end of the day, the leftovers, I'm stressed. I'm just beat up. Maybe I've gone to the gym or something, or maybe not. Right? And we've become disconnected, and that's not what I want. Just that alone allows the opening of honest conversation. Right? And now you can start rebuilding the bridge of that relationship. And you can find out what she wants. Look, guys, you are not the same guy you were when you were 18, right? I'm assuming you're not 18 listening to this, but you're not the same guy you were 2-3 years ago. You're just not. You've changed. You've had new perspectives, new experiences, I hope, right, in your life. Hopefully you're doing personal development, your business has changed, etc. Guess what? Your wife has changed too. It's time to get to know who she is, what her dreams are, and what she wants. Those things change. And by taking a new perspective on this and looking at it and saying, look, here's what I want. I'm going to take a stand for this. But first, I'm going to go ahead and validate what my wife or partner could be feeling, and I'm going to share what I'm feeling, open and honestly, so we can both get what we want out of this. It can become a win-win.
And I think as well, when you just describe that scenario, it's a trap that is so easy to fall into, is keeping score. Well, I've been out of work. I've been making all these decisions. I've, been making the money. I get home after the kids go to bed, and you start to build this case almost like you're racking up points in your mind about like you're building a case of evidence, right? To defend yourself. And then whenever you're looking at yourself in that way, then guess what? You then look at your wife in that way as well. And then you start to almost, okay, well, she's done this and she's done that. And, it's you start to see who's winning, who's done the most. It becomes this tug of war that nobody's going to win and nobody's going to back down in. And it's, it's not a great position to be in a relationship. And I think taking the approach that you've just mentioned, Doug, of validating the woman and, sitting down, and I think a step onto that would be if you sat down with her and held her hand and looked her in the eye and really shared openly, let her feel what you were saying as well. It even take that to another level. But having that, it just completely nullifies any keeping of scores. And it totally brings you back to a neutral, cooperative, as you said, point of harmony, if you will. A position in which you can then grow together And it's almost like you do this dance, in a relationship. It's kind of like, how DNA is structured, kind of that intertwining helix, double helix. That's kind of the dance in a relationship. You come together, you go apart, you come together. So you're together in the morning, you go apart during the day, you come together, you go apart, so on. And being able to address the woman in this way just allows it so that when you guys do come together, you're not coming together to count wins or secretly keep score. You're actually coming together to be together.
Hey, sorry to interrupt the show, but I wanted to ask you a question. Do you ever feel like something's just missing? Like there's something more out there and you just can't put your finger on it? I totally get it. Go over right now to thepowerfulman.com/freedom to discover the system that other businessmen just like you are using. We've included 10 case studies, 10 men just like you who have found the solution and have found their way on their path. And we want to share that with you. Go over to thepowerfulman.com/freedom right away. Now let's get back to the show.
Beautifully said. I mean, you're going to get what you find, guys, right? So if you're looking for reasons to validate that you are right and she is wrong, you're going to find it. You're going to find whatever you're looking for. And, the truth is, she may push back and she has every right to, most likely, as you do you, but it's your chance to be the strong one here, right? You're the man, be the strong one and be with her. And the reason this works, Tim, is when you're able to have that presence with her, you clean the slate. In the present, now you can almost, not always, but almost get rid of the past and talk to her about what is going on for you now. And what that does is creates a blank canvas for the two of you to paint a future that you want to live into. Now, I'm sure you guys did this when, early on in your relationship, probably not consciously, but you talked about your future together. And my guess is you haven't done that in quite a while, right? You haven't actually painted. And if you have, you painted in very black and white. Hey, the kids need to be picked up from football at 4 p.m. Can you do it? What have you? Johnny's, we're at a lunch meet, whatever, things like that. You're not talking about dreams, fantasies, sexy things, right? And getting sexy with her. And you said it right, staring into her eyes and connecting. Most often, if a woman feels connected to her man, she's not going to stray or cheat. But it's that disconnection is the worst thing. I've often heard women say, I'd rather be physically abused than emotionally abused.
Wow.
Right. And whether that's true, they're just saying it, but disconnection, right? My wife will say this, when we're disconnected and you disconnect from me, she's like, that is the worst thing. You could not do anything worse to me than disconnecting. That is my life force in our relationship. And what she's saying to me is, look, I need you to be here through the storms. I need to know that you're going to be here, good, bad, indifferent, that I got you. I got my man who's also going to be there for me when I'm going through my craziness. And that's why it works, because you're really clearing the slate. And Tim, what my wife and I do is we use the analogy, and I've talked about this in the podcast before, is if you can imagine two people, you and your partner standing nose to nose almost, but between you is a glass wall. And every time you disconnect, lie, or leak by looking at porn, whatever it might be, you put a little dirt on that glass wall. And eventually over time, you can't really even see each other. It's so murky. And you have to go through and scrub that away. And what you just said is perfect. It scrubs it away. Because look, guys, you value the connection. You value the relationship. You value being with your partner, or you wouldn't be in it. You would have left. You just would have left. Right? And your wife, your partner does as well. You guys share similar values. You want a strong relationship, someone you can trust, someone you can lean on. In order to do that, it's like an emotional bank account. You can't just make withdrawals. Just like in your business account, you have to put deposits in before you withdraw money, right? Otherwise, you get into the red, which is, a lot of us have been there, but you can't be in the red in your relationship month after month, year after year, and expect to still have credit with that bank. Your relationship's the same.
Yeah, it reminds me of Rick and Chelsea. when Rick came into the Alpha Reset, and I'm happy to use his name because we recorded an episode of how he did it in the Facebook group where he shares all this. So, he shared how just prior to him joining, he was in America with her, and they'd pulled over at the side of the road, and he had tears just streaming down his face, and she did too. And they just said, look, we can't continue like this. They clearly loved each other, but the relationship just wasn't working. And they tried marriage counseling, which actually even drove them further apart. And it got to the point whereby she actually left. She left to go, stay in a hotel for a couple of nights because she was going to plan on, okay, how are we going to separate? How are we going to separate the house and so on? And then he went and got her and said, no, you come back. I'm figuring this out. And it was actually the next day that I spoke with him. I didn't know all this until the interview. And, fast forward then to even right now they're in America again, ironically. And they've got an RV and they are touring around the Lake Tahoe and other regions around the area looking for a retreat center, because after the Alpha Reset, what happened was he was able to go back into the relationship, take complete ownership for his shortcomings, and be there with her, hold her hand, look her in the eye, share with her what he was really going on for him and what he realized. And she just broke down. She just melted because this is what she'd wanted for so long. Him to actually be there, not just be there, but be there. And this then gave her the permission to thrive and flourish as well. And he actually took her through a rage release, Doug. He took her through her own rage release and other exercises from the Alpha Reset, which is great. And one of the things they also did was they mapped out their vision together, which was to go live in America and have a retreat center and really do a lot of things within mindfulness. Rick's got an IT company. Chelsea is a solicitor or a lawyer. So it's a big shift for them to go over there. They don't have any experience in mindfulness, let's say. And right now they're out there looking at locations, scouting out places with a view to moving there in the next year or so. And their relationship has done a complete 180. Their sex life, their communication, their connection, their intimacy. I mean, you saw it on the photos they posted in Workplace for the Brotherhood. They were beaming. They were beaming with joy because they're living together and aligned with, who they both are and what they really desire. It's amazing to see. And, that it's not an anomaly either, is it? Rick's case isn't an anomaly. A lot of other men have experienced similar things too.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it. It's so true. And they are beaming, which is awesome. And it's one of those funny things that when you take care of your inner game, it allows everybody else around you to also step in, because you take a leadership role and people can surrender into who they are. Both of them are healthier than they've ever been too. They look great. I'm smiling over here just thinking of the two of them. But you can also see that with, Ed, who's on the powerfulman.com/freedom page, and a couple of those case study guys that have shared their stories as openly as Rick has, with the other men, so they would know, is it really comes down to really that connection, right? And the problem is society has thrown this ideal of what it means to be a man, kind of the James Bond ideal. And it's been tough for a guy. It's tough for us guys, right? In this day and age, you have the women's liberation movement, feminism. Do I open the door for? Do I not? Do I have to pay for everything? Do I not? Everything's supposed to be equal, but yet I'm supposed to bring home all the money. Like, what am I supposed to be doing here as a guy? It becomes impossible in that conundrum to discover what it means to be a man, let alone a powerful man. And so I think a lot of these guys, Tim, get stuck. They get stuck and they feel like they're just spinning their wheels. And of course, they turn to business, which is the one area most of us can thrive in, and we can control the outcomes without somebody barking at us, so to speak. And we turn that into a disconnect when we get home because we don't have that feeling. And it allows us more and more separation. And that's why we keep talking about making sure you're defining what it means to be a man yourself. But even more so, what does it mean to be a powerful man? And a powerful man that has, the presence to be and clear this up with his wife, as Rick did and as Ed did, the two men that we've mentioned on this particular podcast, as well as the other ones. What does that mean to be you? Because society is throwing all these curveballs at you. And in part, they're doing it, by the way, to sell you more things. You need this face cream. You need to wear these clothes, right? To get your relationship better. Drive this car and your relationship will be better. When that's not true. That's just a way to sell you more crap. The truth is, it's inside of you. And when you can discover that inside of you, then you can sit down with that presence of mind with your partner. As you said, Tim, hold her hand, look in her eyes, and share what's going on. Validate what she may be feeling, and then ask what she really is feeling, and then come to a conclusion. Look, if you love her, guys, it's worth the risk. This is time for you to be the man, you to step up, you to take the risk of rejection, right? But at the end of the day, aren't we really talking about the fact that you're either risking the fear of rejection or risking losing your partner? And when we think about that from a logical perspective, if she rejects you, okay, no big deal, right? You can keep talking about it. But if she leaves you, you have no opportunity, right? You're automatically rejected. So the actual clear logical path is to take that risk. You're on no physical danger. Take the risk, be the man, and come in there and show her the new you. Show her that you're willing to work on the relationship and have an honest conversation. Forget what society has to tell you about this. This is time for you to be you.
Well said.
All right, guys. So what I'm going to implore you to do right now in this moment of insight is stop what you're doing right now and reach out to your life, your spouse, and just tell her, hey, look, I'm thinking of you, which is true, right? Say, I love you if you really mean it from the bottom of your heart. Don't say it as something you have to say. And the third thing I'm going to implore you to do is schedule a time to take action and sit down and have this conversation. A time where the kids are asleep, a time where you have the energy and she has the energy, right? Don't be waiting for her, you both to be, just totally exhausted and you're pouring a glass of wine or two and now you're inebriated where all your triggers are going to come up. Do it sober and schedule this time today. Do it now. And I'd love to hear about what happens. Tim, anything else you'd like to leave these guys with today?
No, I think this has been a great episode. Definitely befitting of, the 100th episode. So thank you for being here, to you, Doug, and also to the men that are listening. And thank you for all of the support that you've given us over the past 100 episodes. The podcast has grown phenomenally over, the course of, it's not even been a year. Wow. It's grown tremendously. So just thank you for being here and giving us an audience, because without you guys, we'd just be chatting back and forth, Doug and I, which definitely wouldn't be as fun, in my opinion.
Thanks, man. So guys, I'm going to ask you one favor, the 100th episode, is share this episode with at least 2 men that you know. And use me as the excuse. Just be like, yeah, I was listening to this episode. What do you think? I told this, I told this guy, Doug Holt, that I would do it. Whatever you want to do. But share this episode with at least 2 men, because it's about time that we take society back for men. It's about time that we take a stand and help other men around the world step into their power, the powerful men they are, and build community around men who are doing the right work. Guys, on that note, we'll see you next time. Have an amazing day. And remember, take some action.